magazine. The holiday season is here, and you know what that means. Lots and lots of yummy desserts. So today we're in the kitchen with Jarriel, who knows a thing or two about baking, and I think she's going to give us a pretty easy and simple recipe.
That's right. I'm going to tell you how to make our traditional lemon Christmas cookies.
Ooh, that sounds yummy. Now, where did this recipe come from?
It originally came from my grandmother, but as far back as I can remember, we've been baking it for Christmas every year.
So it's a staple.
It is.
And is it one that you make for a lot of the holiday parties? And
yes, our church has a big get-together every year, and my mom and I and my sister always do all the baking. No one's allowed to bring anything.
Oh.
And so because of that, this was one of the first things I can remember starting out, and it makes a lot of cookies, and it's really easy.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so how do we get started?
Well, you just need a few simple ingredients. We have a lemon cake mix, an 8-ounce Cool Whip, 1 egg, and a small amount of powdered sugar in a separate container, as well as a greased cookie sheet.
Sounds easy so far.
That's right.
Not a lot of ingredients.
No. So to get started, we're going to take our egg, and you're going to beat it well by hand.
Okay.
I prefer to use a fork. So just like that. Can you give it a try?
Sure. Now, why do you use a fork?
Well, the fork just allows it to, I wouldn't want to say aerate, but it
Kind of
just
gets a little fluffier.
it gets it very fluffy and creamy.
Good.
There
One
you
more.
go. Yeah. Once it's well beaten, we're going to add in our Cool Whip, and you're going to gently fold it together. You want to make sure the Cool Whip is not still frozen.
Okay. And just fold it.
Just gently fold it together. Once it's nice and creamy, then we're going to slowly add in our cake mix.
Now, is this a kid-friendly recipe where you can have the kids come and help you in the kitchen?
Totally. Especially when we get to the next part, because it's pretty messy.
The messier the better for kids, right?
Exactly.
But not for the parents.
Well, it can be fun.
Clean up.
Now, as you can see, it's all combined, and we're just going to slowly add in our cake mix. We're going to gently combine it. Don't worry about getting it too smooth, but just make sure it's evenly mixed.
Okay. Now, can you use a different kind of cake mix if you don't want to use vanilla or lemon?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can use any different flavors that you prefer. Our family just really prefers the lemon.
It's a little refreshing, a little different because you get a lot of chocolate and fudge and that kind of stuff during the holidays. So,
Yep. And it's fresh.
it's not mixing. See, this is where you need a professional.
Yeah. Just scrape your sides. You can get pretty vigorous with it.
It already smells good.
That's the lemon.
Hasn't even got into the oven yet. It already smells good.
As you can see, it's just slowly combining together. It'll be a little lumpy. Don't worry about that. And there you have it. So now comes the fun part. We're going to take our spoons, and we're going to drop spoonfuls into the powdered sugar, where we're going to roll it into little balls. But before you do this, make sure you put powdered sugar on your fingers, otherwise it's going to stick. Hence the messy part.
Yeah.
So you just get a spoonful, scrape it off, and then put some sugar on your fingers and roll it around. The amount of cookies that you get out of this really depends on how big you like them. Some people like them bigger, and yeah, right on the butter. Just drop it right out.
Now, how did you get into baking? Because you actually do it professionally, right?
Yes, I do. I have my own business. It's called Joy's Place, and I specialize in pound cakes and just decorated cakes and
Very
desserts.
delicious pound cakes, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Now, all of my recipes really come from my grandmother. She's the one who really started us baking, both of my grandmothers actually. But my mother and I just have always been in the kitchen together, and when I was a teenager, I started working at a concession stand, and really my interest really began to grow, and I made cakes and cookies for my nieces and nephews. And that's when I went to Michael's and took some classes for the Wilton method.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what exactly is the Wilton method? Because we've all heard of the brand for baking.
Exactly. Basically, they just have a line of their own classes, and they teach how to make certain types of decorating. But you can learn just as much by online, really.
And you're certified to teach those classes, correct?
Yes, I am.
Now, you decorate as well, too?
Yes, that's what the Wilton method really is the decorating part of cakes. And we're also I'm going to show you how to make a little edible decoration for your cookies in a little bit.
Oh, using fondant?
That's right.
Oh, that's a little intimidating.
A lot of people are intimidated by fondant, but it's really quite simple as long as you make sure you use the right tools and you have fun with it.
Okay, and now these are finished and ready to go into the oven?
That's right. And again, your oven is going to be preheated at 350 degrees, and we're going to bake them 8 to 10 minutes. Now, if you like a cakier consistency, you can bake them a little bit longer at about 10 to 12 minutes, but that's personal preference, of course.
It doesn't take long until you get to enjoy them.
That's right, so let's go take them to the oven.
Perfect. Okay, now we're on to the more intimidating aspect of this recipe.
Oh, don't let it be intimidating. We're going to make some little flower decorations for your cookies, or if you want, you can use them for any type of edible decoration. As you can see here, I've got some little flowers, different sizes. That comes from having different cookie cutters. We're going to use this one for today, but you're going to need some cookie cutters, preferably in the shape of a daisy.
Do you need the plunger ones?
No,
Does it
you
make
don't
it
have
easier?
to. Yes, it does make it easier. As you can see here, I have one that's not a plunger, but the plunger is definitely easier. We're also going to use some edible gold pearls for our centers, and you can get those at any store, and I did dye the gold with this edible powder.
Now, everything is edible, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Why would you want something not edible in your
It's
cake?
just a lot of sugar right here, right?
Yes, a lot. You're also going to need a paintbrush only used for cake purposes, as well as tweezers. Again, only used for cake purposes. We have what's called
cross-contamination there.
right. We have what's called a ball tool, and if you don't have a ball tool, don't fret. You can use the back of your paintbrush. A knife, some red and green fondant, of course, and then we have a little bit of vanilla extract, clear, in our little bowl, and that will be our glue for our flowers.
Now, where can you buy fondant? Can you just buy that at any grocery store, or?
You certainly can. Not necessarily Publix, but Walmart does have a good selection of the Wilton brand. I prefer to order mine from Satin Ice, which is the same type of fondant that Cake Boss uses. But if you need to, Walmart's fondant works great.
And do they have the different colors, or do you have to use the food coloring?
It depends on your store, where your location is. Some do have the different colors, but we do use food coloring. However, red is very hard to get. It's much easier to buy it pre-dyed. All right, you ready to get started?
Sure.
We're going to take our red fondant, just small portion, and as you can see, it's kind of a little bit of a different consistency, but you're
Play-Doh.
just like Play-Doh, edible Play-Doh, and you're just going to kind of knead it back and forth.
This whole piece?
Sure, go
Okay.
ahead. Probably about half of it would be.
That's a big piece.
Yeah.
It's a big flower.
And you want it to just really get into a good, soft, even consistency. Once you do that, move our tools here. So you
Now,
can
do
see.
you store fondant in the refrigerator?
No. Fondant and condensation do not mix. It will tend to melt off your cake, so be very careful with that. But once you get it to a good consistency, we're going to just roll it out gently. And the thickness, you really just want to roll it where it does not stick to your table. Because if you press too hard, it's going to stick to your counter. All right. Roll yours out.
Now, what would you say to someone that is a little hesitant about using fondant?
Don't be afraid. There's lots of helpful videos on the internet nowadays. And Wilton has some great classes if you need that one-on-one help with a teacher. But the main thing, just have fun. If you played with Play-Doh or edible dough as a child, you know, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I can see why kids would enjoy this.
That's right.
The younger kids, and they'd actually probably do a good job.
Yes.
Is that good or a little?
A little bit thinner. You want to go just to where you want a little bit of an edge, but not too thick. When you get it too thick, the flour tends to be kind of clunky. Okay. A little bit more. Don't be afraid to put pressure on it. Now, if you do make a mistake and you get it too thin and it sticks to your board, well, sometimes you can just put a little bit of cornstarch on the back and that'll keep it from sticking. That looks about good. So you're going to take your little cutter. We're going to make 2 little shapes. So just gently kind of wiggle it around, pull it out. And there's 1. And there's 2. And you just pick it up. So say if you're like me and you didn't plunge it all the way, it just comes right out. Okay, so go ahead and make your shapes. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take your excess fondant and go ahead and roll it together. Fondant does dry out very quickly, so you want to make sure you have saran wrap or plastic.
Yeah, just see if that one comes out first.
That's right.
Tear it apart.
But you do want to keep your fondant covered.
Oh.
Did you get it?
Didn't come out. Guess I didn't need the plunger one after all.
Alright, so now what we're going to do after we put our fondant away, of course.
So how do you store the fondant when you're done?
I wrap it pretty much airtight in saran wrap, and I have a special, basically it's a bucket that it comes in, and you can keep it that way.
And how long does it typically last?
Well, it depends on how much fondant you're using. Sometimes, like for me, it's hard for me to tell because I use so much of it. It just tends to, I have to order more constantly. But we're going to take our second shape, and you're just going to gently layer it on top of your other shape. Might be easier to use that.
I'm gonna need that.
And we're going to alternate the petals. It is tiny, so.
Delicate fingers.
That's right. Now you're going to take your ball tool or the back of your paintbrush, and you're just going to make a slight indentation in the center, and that is where we're going to put our edible pearls. Just right in the center. Pretty simple. You're going to take your paintbrush, get a little bit of that vanilla extract. You're just going to dab some right in the center just to give those pearls something to stick. When any moisture comes in contact with fondant, like water or vanilla, it causes it to become sticky. So it makes everything stick to it. Good. Now using our tweezers, we're just going to grab a couple of these little pearls. Just drop them however you want to. They do come in different sizes, so whatever you prefer.
Now, can you find these in the stores as well, or do you have to order them?
These are at your local stores. However, the gold ones are hard to find, which is why I dyed mine using the gold powder. And that does have to be special ordered.
One more.
Right. And there you have your flower.
Not too bad.
No. Now, no flower is complete without a leaf. Green leaf, to be exact. We're just going to take a small, probably about a pea-sized amount maybe, and you're going to just kind of roll it around in your fingers, and we're going to kind of make it into a comma shape. Just a little bit of comma. Yeah. Then just kind of smush it to kind of give it that flatness that you're looking for. And then taking the back of your knife, we're just going to score it, which causes the vein of the leaf to appear very lifelike. And then to stick it to your flower, if you do that,
Thank you.
you just take a little bit more of your vanilla, just put it right at the bottom. There you go. Normally you can pick up the flower just like that.
So just on the top of the corner?
Just on the top, yep. And there we go. Put it around.
Oh. Oh.
Did you lose your pearls?
No, the vanilla
Oh,
helped.
yeah, it does, yeah. You just
Oh,
play
I
around
just,
with them.
Just did lose my one pearl.
Don't be afraid of it. That's what the tweezers are there for. If we didn't have the tweezers to collect all our little pearls, we'd be chasing them all over the kitchen. And you can adjust the position of them with your paintbrush or whatever tool you want to use. And you did it.
Okay, that wasn't too bad.
No?
Not too difficult.
All right, well, our cookies are out of the oven. We let them sit on a cooling rack for about 5 minutes. Put them in a bowl, put our little decorations on them, and they're all ready to go for any Christmas party or get together that you have.
Well, and I think they're ready for us to try.
Oh yeah, totally. Ready?
I'm ready to test them. These are amazing.
Thank you. Grandma's recipe.
Mm. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with a grandma's recipe, right?
No.
This is perfect. This is actually great for the people that don't want all the chocolate.
That's
During
true.
the
A lot of
holidays?
people, I've learned a lot of people are allergic to chocolate and things like that.
This is perfect. Well, thank you so much, Joy, for inviting us into your kitchen and teaching us how to make this very easy. And even the fondant wasn't too bad.
You're very welcome. This is In the Kitchen with Joy Jarriel for Okeechobee the Magazine.